got News Munchies with Ted Corliss. Follow us on Facebook, take a look at our SoundCloud account, and we look forward to following your tweets as you read ours. My name is Ted Corliss, and I love to produce a cannabis-positive message in the universe. Not necessarily positive in the sense that I'd like you to smoke more of it, but instead give you an opportunity to have an intelligent conversation with others about the reformation, medicalization, and ultimate legalization of marijuana. In that process, one of the things that comes up routinely from other folks that we talk about is how is it that cannabinoids can affect individuals' nutrition? And I'm not talking about their nutrition. I'm talking about how those cannabinoids might affect Rover or the kitty cat down the road. That's right. We're talking about cannabinoid products that are appearing all over our universe that are being formulated not for us, but for those animals that we care so much about. If you're like me, you probably pay closer attention to what your dog or cat eats than when you're traveling or you get on an airplane. Think about it. Would your dog eat that? I don't think so. In that process, we look out into the community and locate products or individuals that we believe are promoting a safer, more educated approach to questions like this one. And in that process, I've had an opportunity to sit down with a representative, the CEO, in fact, Steve Smith from Pet Releaf. I'm on with Steve Smith from Pet Releaf. How are you today, Steve?
Doing great, Ted. Thank you so much for having us.
We've been really excited about this, and as I mentioned to you previously, the other day after we scheduled the podcast, my wife came home with one of your products, and it's really working well for one of our wiener dogs, so thank you.
Oh, that's great. It's such good news, and we've got some wonderful retail partners, all over the country, but particularly there in Florida, which is our original home state, so I'm so glad to hear that.
Well, help me understand so that I can explain to other people how CBD can be an important part of a pet's nutrition.
Sure, and I'm so glad you asked that question instead of what do we need to solve with a CBD product, because we recommend even for a healthy or relatively healthy dog or cat that they're using at least some level of a full spectrum CBD product on a daily basis. They don't have to be using inordinate amounts of it, but almost like a daily vitamin. You want to be eating a little bit of greens. You want to have your vitamin C each day. Well, cannabinoids are absolutely one of those beneficial things that we should, all mammals actually, should be putting into our bodies, including our beloved dogs and cats. What it's doing is it's providing significant immune system support, massive anti-inflammatory properties that are essentially turbo boosted when you introduce the cannabinoids into the system. And let's face it, 80-90% of the reasons that mammals end up dying, the source of those diseases, sicknesses, etc., come from inflammation, whether it's inflammation in your intestines, cellular inflammation, etc., etc. So that's the baseline. Why really any healthy or relatively healthy animal should be taking CBD on a daily basis.
Right. Well, let's start even as simpler than that. Do you think that an individual would necessarily have to get a recommendation from a veterinarian, or is this something that an individual could go on your website, learn about your products, and then make their own decision?
Well, here's how I'll answer that one, Ted. We always recommend that someone speak to their veterinarian just to make sure there's not, say, a significant liver enzyme or a liver function issue. If there's an underlying disease or something such as that, they should absolutely have the veterinarian in lockstep with them. Now, if the veterinarian is heavily opposed to a CBD product, we then heavily recommend that they go speak to another veterinarian, just like you would
right. Get a new veterinarian.
If you're
yes.
Yeah, if your human doctor says no way should you ever take that medical marijuana stuff, it's going to turn you into a heroin addict or something silly such as that, or there's no science behind it, I would say the same thing. Go speak to another doctor that actually takes personal opinions out of it and has done some of the research. So with that said, you can go on our website. People also call here. We've got 4 customer service people that are on the phones all day long, answering emails as well, helping people guide them into this decision-making process. Right. And then at the end of the day, it's up to the pet parent.
Fantastic, because I think that people are very excited about what CBD can do for especially older pets. I was just speaking this morning with one of my staff about this issue, and she's been giving CBD to her dog because of joint pain the dog is obviously having, and she's seeing that the dog's responding extremely well with it. But as you pointed out, I think the veterinarian was actually the one who proposed it to her. But people, I think people take better care of their dogs most of the time than they take care of themselves.
That is so true. I can tell you my dogs eat twice as good as we do at the house. I mean, I spend, I'll either cook for them, or we have our best friends in the industry do a line of frozen raw food, so I'll prepare that for the girls. And right. Me, that's a 30 to 45-minute process. Mine, half the time, is 10, 15 minutes of just throwing a few things and throwing it in the microwave. Right. So, right. You're absolutely right with that assessment.
I hope you're not feeding those dogs those Hot Pockets I think you've been eating. I don't think they would.
Hot Pockets.
All right. So staying on the issue of understanding why a pet owner, either dog or, okay, by the way, we're not just talking about dogs, are we? We're talking about cats as well. Is that right?
That's absolutely correct, Ted. And then at Global Pet Expo in Orlando at the end of next month, which is our biggest trade show of the year, we're going to be launching our equine relief products that we've been testing for, almost 3 years now. And so we're doing a full launch of our horse-focused CBD products. Okay. So really any mammal can benefit from CBD products. We're also looking at some small mammal testing that we're doing right now. And we're, seeing some amazing results there as well. So, but yeah, to be honest with you, by far the largest market in the animal world right now is the canine market. And then the cats would be behind that.
Got it. Well, again, keeping the questions as simple as I can, because I think you've got some good stuff on your website. One of the issues that we dealt with my 9-pound wiener dog, Maggie, is how much to give her. You actually have a calculator on your website that allows an individual to do a calculation like that. Can you explain that?
Sure, absolutely, Ted. And that usage calculator, we have developed that it's been a good 5-year period, and well over 100,000 pet parents that have helped us develop these protocols and these recommendations. So we have really good data to back those recommendations up. So a pet parent can go on, my dog's limping a little bit. Okay, boop, boop, boop. How much does the dog weigh? Okay, all these, you get the basic background. So we don't have to, take the place of a veterinarian and do a full diagnosis, but we can give a very good and fairly precise recommendation on which product would be best for a certain situation, and then how much of that product to be using on a daily basis, and then when to be using the product. So, for example, should they be giving it to the dog twice a day? Should they be administering the product at mealtime? So it's a really great tool for pet parents that are starting to have some concerns about their loved ones.
Well, I appreciate that, because I think, again, our biggest concern with our pets, because we take such good care of them, is that whatever we're doing, we do no damage. We want to help them, but we don't want to, we want to get it right. And talking about the issue of safety, I see that you all are actually producing a product that can be delivered pretty much anywhere by mail. Is that correct? It doesn't require
100% correct,
and it doesn't require a prescription from a doctor or a vet or anything like that.
Absolutely, 100% correct.
Good.
And I'll give you the quick technical answer on that about the legality to mail products around the country. If you have and this is straight from the United States Postal Service, so this is not Steve Smith Pet Relief talking. If you have a verifiable hemp source that is regulated under a state Department of Agriculture, and you can track it from the time it was in the field until it's into that tincture bottle or in that treat. If you can trace it that entire way, and you have all the testing that is required by the state, then you can legally ship that anywhere in the United States. There are a lot of products out there claiming that they can legally ship that actually are technically, not even technically, are actually illegal. So I would really encourage any of your listeners to do their homework and make sure that they get verifiable third-party proof so that they don't accidentally find themselves in trouble because someone shipped them let's call it a marijuana product, maybe masquerading as a CBD product, or something that somebody made in their basement, some bathtub gin. Just, from soup to nuts, pet parents need to ask a lot of questions and make the manufacturer provide proof, not just fancy marketing, so that they can ensure that that their pet is getting a safe and efficacious product. I mean, we don't want any of these animals to accidentally ingest some toxic solvents that were used to make a basement CBD product that has a fancy website. I mean, we just pride ourselves on being the leaders in the industry and educating the pet parents. And that's our number one goal. Change what healthy means for pets.
Sure. Now I'm going to jump in a little bit to help build the dialogue about this issue of hemp versus cannabis. For those of you that have been following the cannabis legalization process since California adopted medical marijuana in 1996, it is still illegal to ship cannabis products. And the main difference between a traditional cannabis product that's regulated by a particular state and hemp has to do with the percentage of THC that might be present. In order to remain legal under federal law, Steve, what is it? You can't have more than 0.3% THC in the plants, something like that?
That's exactly correct. And that's another big miscommunication or a lack of understanding in the general public. They think as long as the 0.3% is not present in the final product, that is completely incorrect. It is the 0.3%, like you said, Ted, in the plant itself. So the Colorado Department of Ag comes out, they will pick buds, which are the flowers of the hemp plants from our fields, and they will test them. If it's above 0.3, then you have to burn that entire field, which we grow true hemp plants, so never happened to us. But for example, in Arizona, almost 50% of the hemp planted in Arizona this past summer had to be destroyed because it went, quote unquote, hot. So it went above that 0.3%.
Got it.
If you see a product on the market, here's another buyer beware thing. Just an education thing. We're not trying to scare people here. We just need people to be empowered with the education of what questions to ask. So if you see a product that has 0.2% or 0.25% THC in the final product, and it's mixed with coconut oil or something or anything, then I guarantee you 100% that started as a marijuana plant. Because once it's been diluted with something else, you will never have 0.2% THC in a final product if it started as a true hemp plant.
Got it. And the reason I raise that, and I appreciate that, is that people want to understand that they're getting a consistent product, that you're using good best practices to develop, and that's why I noticed that you all have been you're a certified farm under the United States Hemp Association. Hell, I think the ink's not even dry on their origination. That's a new one. But it's so great for industries to come together because the United States government is pretending there isn't legal cannabis being sold all over the place, but hemp's making a run in a lot of places in the United States. So you're developing your products from certified plants, and I think people need to know that there are healthy alternatives to a lot of the mass-produced stuff that they might see. I mean, hell, you can buy CBD in a gas station, but that's not what you're giving your animals here. It's something far more important.
Absolutely. Ted, I don't know about you, but I don't go buy my health food and my vitamins at 7-Eleven or the Quickie Mart.
Hey.
I don't know why you'd be buying CBD at the counter next to the bubble gum. I mean,
Right.
come on, people.
Pick up your
And
spicy
here's another one
Cheetos
for you,
like the
Ted.
rest of us and get back in your car.
Right.
'Cause
That's right. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Here's another one for you, Ted. There was a guy, actually, he was in a pretty well-known store that was selling these things this past Christmas holiday season. CBD-infused pillowcases. That's how silly the green rush, fast money people have, unfortunately, it's confusing and in some people's minds, cheapening the category. So the U.S. Hemp Authority seal that you mentioned a moment ago was a third-party verification. Picture the USDA organic certification. We wanted something for the hemp products specifically. So the industry leaders, we all got together. We each put in $50,000 to seed, no pun intended, the U.S. Hemp Authority. They wrote their own rules. We gave them help as far as here's how people cheat. Here's what you need to make sure you're looking for. They do all the testing, completely third-party organization, and it's run by the organization called Where Food Comes From. If any of your listeners have seen that documentary, it's amazing.
I have seen that.
Yeah, and so that's a seal, kind of like the USDA organic, that if your if your listeners see that seal, they know they're getting a safe product. To your point, Ted, that's followed good manufacturing practices. It's been done in a consistent and safe manner, and most importantly, it was grown with good farming practices in a legal and a certified and a tested hemp field.
Very good. Let's move to your products. The product that we've been using for my wiener dog is the tincture, but that is not the only form of your product. Is that right? What other forms does it come in?
Yeah, okay, and that's a great question, Ted. So let's call it our entry-level product would be our Edibites, which are the treats. Now, those would be, picture a daily superfood smoothie. That's kind of what we explain our treats as, because they're for healthy, generally healthy dogs. When you start experiencing something a little more serious, that's when you're then going to step up to the tincture oil bottles, which is what the products that you are using. Another form of those is what we call our liposomes. So the product that you are using, the standard tincture bottle oils, those are the ones where they're convenient. You can just squirt it straight into the dog's mouth, and it's absorbed sublingually, as we say. So it goes into the blood vessels there in the mouth and under the tongue, and essentially straight into the bloodstream, and it starts to work pretty darn quickly. The liposomes, which are also in one of the tincture bottles, same type of efficacy, same level of condition that you would use it for, that is actually put directly onto the food. So it's a far more convenient product, but you need to administer it during mealtime. So, it depends if you're out and about. The tincture bottle where you just squirt in the dog's mouth many times is easier. That's a personal choice between the pet parent. And then we have our capsules. So capsules, same thing. Everybody's familiar if you have a dog, you put the little pharmaceutical in a piece of cheese. Again, it's a very convenient way. You don't have to worry about how pulling it out of the dropper or out of the bottle. And then we also have our topical. So our Canacare topical, it was developed by I call him our mad scientist, Dan, back 4 or 5 years ago. And it's got not just a CBD oil in it. We didn't just buy some off-the-shelf topical thing and throw some CBD in it. We developed it from the ground up, and it's got things like Eucuba butter and Aroba oil. It's got a whole slew, every single ingredient in our plant-based topical with zero chemicals. Every single one of those ingredients is massively beneficial to a dog's skin and her coat. So that is what we say you're healing from the outside in. And then the oils, the liposomes, the treats, those are healing from the inside out. So that's kind of a quick run through of our basic product categories. But stay tuned because as we get through that trade show we were speaking about earlier, we're going to be releasing some amazing new products there, including our professional veterinarian line and our equine lines. So we'll have to speak to you again in March, Ted, and we'll give you an update on all those.
Having a home in Colorado now, obviously, I can smell the whiff of horse manure off in the distance, and my 11-year-old loves that smell of horses in any form. And I can tell you, I've been on a couple of horses that if I had a CBD, hell, if I had a joint, I probably would have handed it to the horse, but I think I could mellow it out a little bit. All right, so if I'm sold on your product, obviously. Where can people find your product other than on your website, which is www.petrelief.com?
Yeah, petrelief.com. And then for your listeners, remember it's PETRELEAF. So like leaf on a tree, relief.com. And then we're in well over 6,000 independent pet stores. We're in every state in the United States right now. We have a store locator on the website where they can punch in the zip code and it'll show them, here's our 10 A accounts that are in your area. So those would be our most educated stores. That would be the best place that we would recommend to go and look for our products. Because then if they have questions, these are stores that have done intensive training with us that can give them that one-on-one attention that really does matter in CBD world.
Fantastic. Well, Steve, I appreciate you sharing time with us today. Very excited about your future. We definitely want to hear back from you. We also want to hear back from people who've tried your product and had a positive experience, we expect. Steve, travel safe. You're on with Ted Corliss and News Munchies. Be well. Late at night, when you get the munchies, go to www.newsmunchies.com. This is Ted Corliss. Be well.